The San are the oldest inhabitants of southern Africa, where they have lived for at least 20,000 years. The term San is commonly used to refer to a diverse group of hunter-gatherers living in southern Africa who share historical and linguistic connections. The San were also referred to as Bushmen, but this term has since been abandoned as it is considered derogatory. Many now accept the terms Bushmen or San. Like the first people to inhabit other countries in the world, the San have an unfortunate history of poverty, social rejection, decline of cultural identity, and the discrimination of their rights as a group. The San have received the attention of anthropologists and the media with their survival and hunting skills, wealth of indigenous knowledge of the flora and fauna of southern Africa, and their rich cultural traditions. San people speak numerous dialects of group languages known for their characteristic clicks that can be heard in their pronunciation, represented in writing by symbols. Made up of small mobile groups, San communities comprise of about 25 men, women, and children. At certain times of the year, groups join for exchange of news and gifts, for marriage arrangements, and for social occasions. Not related to the Bantu tribes, the San are descendants of early Stone Age ancestors. Clans and loosely connected family groups followed seasonal migrations between mountain ranges and coastlines. They made their homes in caves, under rocky overhangs, or in temporary shelters. These migratory people do not domesticate animals or cultivate crops, even though their knowledge of both flora and fauna is vast. The San categorize thousands of plants and their uses, from nutritional to medicinal, mystical to recreational and lethal. San men have a formidable reputation as trackers and hunters. The San trackers will follow the tracks of an animal across virtually any kind of terrain or surface. Their skills even enable them to distinguish the tracks of a wounded animal and that of the rest of the herd. Colonialism destroyed the San migratory way of life. They were no longer allowed to roam freely, and trophy hunters destroyed the vast herds of game that formed their principal supply of food. Both black and white farmers built up huge herds of cattle that destroyed the foods that had been the staple diets for centuries. Enslavement and sometimes mass destruction of San communities by both white and black farmers followed. Many became farm laborers, and some joined black farming communities and intermarried with them, which added to the destruction of the social identity of the San people. The San have no formal authority figure or chief, but govern themselves by group consensus. Disputes are resolved through lengthy discussions where all involved have a chance to make their thoughts heard until some agreement is reached. Certain individuals may assume leadership in specific fields in which they excel, such as hunting or healing rituals, but they cannot achieve positions of general influence or power. White colonists found this very confusing when they tried to establish treaties with the San. Leadership among the San is kept for those who have lived within that group for a long time, who have achieved a respectable age and good character. San are largely egalitarian, sharing such things as meat and tobacco. The San are excellent hunters, although they do a fair amount of trapping. The best method of hunting is with bow and arrow. The San arrow does not kill the animal straight away. It is the deadly poison which eventually causes the death. In the case of small antelope such as Deka or Steenbok, a couple of hours may elapse before death. The San eat anything available, both animal and vegetable. Their selection of food ranges from antelope, zebra, porcupine, wild hare, lion, giraffe, fish, insects, tortoise, flying ants, snakes, hyena, eggs, and wild honey. The meat is boiled or roasted on a fire. The San are not wasteful, and every part of the animal is used. The bites are tanned from blackens and the bones are cracked for the marrow. Water is hard to come by, as the San are constantly on the move. Usually during the dry season, these migrants collect their moisture by scraping and squeezing roots. If they are out hunting or traveling, they will dig holes in the sand to find water and carry the water in an ostrich egg shell. A caterpillar, reddish yellow in color and about 3/4 of an inch long, called car or gnaw, is also used. The poison is boiled repeatedly until it looks like red currant jelly. It is also allowed to cool and ready to be smeared on the arrows. The poison is highly toxic and is greatly feared by the San themselves. The poison is neurotoxic and does not contaminate the whole animal. The spot where the arrow strikes is cut out and drawn away, but the rest of the meat is fit to eat. The effect of the poison is not instantaneous, and the hunters frequently have to track the animal for a few days. The San are intelligent trackers and know the habits of their prey. On discovering where a herd is gathered, they immediately test the direction and force of the wind by throwing a handful of dust into the air. Hunters carry a skin bag slung around one shoulder, containing personal belongings, poison, medicine, fly wicks, and additional arrows. The San make use of over 100 edible species of plants. While the men hunt, the women, who are experts in foraging for edible mushrooms, bulbs, berries, and melons, gather food for the family. The San culture incorporated art that most amateur and professional anthropologists did not entirely understand and oftentimes passed off as crude art. This has been found not to be the case, and their work is recognized as holding deep spiritual and religious meaning. Contrary to popular belief, these paintings and engravings of strange human figures and animals, especially the eland, did not depict everyday life but had a deeper religious and symbolic meaning. Gender roles are not jealously guided in the San society. Women sometimes assist in the hunt, and the men sometimes help gather plant foods. When the shaman painted an eland, they did so not to just pay respect to a sacred animal, they also harnessed its essence. By putting paint to work, they will be able to open portals to the spirit world. Sand rock paintings are found in rocky areas of the KwaZulu-Natal, Eastern Cape, and the Western Cape provinces. The San belief system generally observes the supremacy of one powerful god, while at the same time recognizing the presence of lesser gods along with their wives and children. Homage is also paid to the spirits of the deceased. Among some San, it is believed that breaking the soil is contrary to the world order established by the god. The eland is their most spiritual animal and appears in 4 rituals: the boy's first kill, girl's puberty, marriage, and trance dance. A ritual is held where the boy is told how to track an eland and how the eland will fall once shot with an arrow. The boy will become an adult when he kills his first large antelope, preferably an eland. Once caught, the eland is skinned and the fat from the animal's throat and collarbone is made into a broth. In the girl's puberty rituals, a young girl is isolated in a hut at her first menstruation. The women of the tribe perform the eland bull dance, where they imitate the mating behavior of the eland cows. Of prime importance in all San groups is the ritual dance that serves to heal the group. The great medicine or healing dance and the rain dance were rituals in which everyone participated. During these dances, the women usually sat around the central fire as they sang and clapped their hands. The men then first danced around the woman in a clockwise direction and then vice versa. As the dance increased in intensity, the dancers reached trance-like, altered states of consciousness and were transported into the spirit realm when they could plead for the souls of the sick. Today, the San suffer from a perception that the lifestyle is primitive and that they need to be made to live like the majority cattle-herding tribes. Specific problems arise according to where they live. In South Africa, for example, the Komani now have most of their land rights recognized, but many other San tribes have no land rights at all. Few modern San are able to continue as hunter-gatherers, and most live at the very bottom of the social scale, in unaccessible conditions of poverty, leading to alcoholism, violence, prostitution, disease, and despair. The last of the hunter-gatherers were forcibly evicted from the Central Kalahari Game Reserve as recently as April 2002 by the Botswana government to make way for diamond mines. The official reason was to provide them with services such as schools and medical services and to bring them into modern society. In fact, a few of these services have materialized and the San have been confined to bleak encampments in a hostile environment. The San are a friendly, creative and peaceful people who never developed any weapons of war and have lived in harmony with their natural environment for at least 20,000 years. Properly restored to their ancestral lands and reintegrated into the game reserves of Southern Africa, San communities could become self-sustaining. The hardiness of the San allowed them to survive their changed fortunes in the harsh conditions of the Kalahari Desert in which they are now mostly concentrated. Today, the small group that remains has adopted many strategies for political, economic and social survival. The San retains most of their ancient practices but have made certain compromises to modern living. The westernized myths regarding the San have caused considerable damage. They portray the San as simple, childlike people without the problem in the world. This could not be further from the truth. Due to absorption, but mostly extinction, the San may soon cease to exist as a separate people. Unfortunately, they may soon only be viewed in national museums. The traditions, beliefs and culture may soon only be found in historical journals.